Okay. Good evening, everyone. The today's plan is we will be discussing the week six summary and week seven summary. So earlier we had plans to like discuss some few problems also, but right now we are a little bit occupied with finalizing the quiz question paper and everything. So we don't have any question banks as per se. I did pass on your information to Manikandan sir about your request for the question back. But the thing is, Manikandan sir, like you request, like you want a lot of questions to solve and everything. Manikandan sir said that if you really want to explore a lot of hard questions or something, if you really want to challenge yourself into exploring different kinds of questions that can be formed and everything, then you can try to solve the stop and think and exercise break questions from the book. So they are like the highest level. We will not be having questions from at that level, but maybe you can simplify the questions from the exercise break and the stop and think questions, and try attempting to solve questions something similar to that. Not like exactly those questions, those will be very high level questions. If you want to challenge yourself, then please go ahead and you should try solving those questions. Otherwise, you can just try to simplify those questions and look into different kinds of problems that can be formed from those questions, and try to solve simplified versions of those questions also. Okay. Manikandan sir suggested to like the new questions. He will be taking a new session. He will be taking another session next week or something, and he said that pass on the information that about this question bank thing, and he suggested like we will not be having all the questions that we will be suggesting will be from the course content from this we will be having will be from the course content, from the slides, or from the video lectures or from the book. And if you are the hardest of the hardest questions will be at a level which will be less than the lower than the stop and think questions or the exercise break questions. Okay. So that was the information that Manikandan sir had asked me to pass on to you. Apart from that, he said he will be taking another session next week, or it's next week sometime soon, and he will discuss the issues, discuss all of your question, everything, whatever we wanted to discuss all of that. Okay. So for today's session, we will be discussing a summary of week six content. I'll start with the week six content, followed by Livin, who will be discussing the content for week seven. Okay, so I'll start presenting my screen. Okay, so the topic for this week six content is about uh, string or pattern matching kind of a thing. Okay, so imagine this scenario. We have some disease, let's say, for example, this is just an example, and this can happen for uh, multiple other diseases also. Imagine this scenario when COVID-19 came into the picture. We saw that this is COVID-19. We realized this is a COVID-19 virus, but we need to know that this virus is a mutation of which other virus, right? So we need to know. Similarly, when we want to test whether we are having this COVID-19 or not, something, what we used to do is we used to give our sample, and then we used to come check whether this sample is, what they used to do is like they used to take our sample, and then they used to check our sample. If our sample is equal to whatever is the results from our sample, is these results equal to the samples of a healthy individual, right, who is not affected by COVID-19. That way they used to determine whether we are having the disease or not. right? So this is very similar to that also. Suppose we are having some kind of a disease which is basically affecting our genes, some kind of a, let's say, a hereditary disease, or some kind of a disease which is causing a mutation in the RNA sequences or something, mRNA sequences, or something. Then under that scenario, how will we detect which portions of the gene is getting affected, or which parts of the genome is getting affected by these diseases, or whether there is any mutations or not, which nucleotides are getting mutated? All of that information, how do we detect that? Okay, so the biological question that we are discussing this week is, how do we detect these mutations that causes the diseases? So if there is a reference human genome, we have a human genome for some healthy individual. Let's say this individual is called X. Okay, so this individual is not affected by the disease. This person is not affected by the disease. So there is some kind of set of nucleotides, okay, ACGT, something, something, this ACGT string, long gene. Okay, so let's say this is one particular gene, some gene G1. We are suspecting that this gene G1 is getting affected by this disease. Okay, so I'm taking the reference human genome for this in person X, and now what I'm going to do is I'll take the same genome sequence for a person Y, another person Y. Okay, so I'll take this person X and take its genome, and I'll call it as the reference genome. Okay, so reference genome is basically, it is a reference, it is a frame of reference, it is basically the basis. This is what we should have. That is what is called as the reference gene. Okay, this is what we should be having. But why is now diseased? Why is some person who is having the disease? So I'm going to take the same gene, or read the sample, read the genome for the same gene, whatever, not the genome for the same gene. I'm reading the nucleotides for the same gene. Okay, I'm reading this gene sequence, and I'm seeing that there is a T here instead of G. Okay, that means this particular nucleotide is getting this particular nucleotide is getting mutated. Okay, mutation is basically means that mutation means a change. What was supposed to be there, that is not supposed to be, not still there. One mutation means one particular nucleotide has changed into some other nucleotide. That this is not the nucleotide that was supposed to be there. Okay, so now there was this gene G, but now it has changed into T. So this means that this person G1, any person. Now let's say, suppose for Z also, I am having the same scenario as CTT, and Z is also having the disease. So from this we can say clearly that if you are having the disease, if you are getting affected by this virus or getting affected by this disease, then it is causing a mutation in this third nucleotide for G1, which is basically the reason why you're getting the disease, right? So if there can be some medicines which can stop this particular mutation from G to T, then you will not be getting the disease, something like that. Okay, so this is the idea behind this particular why we are asking this biological question. So we can take, so the healthy individual's genome, which forms the basis against which we compare these other schemas or patterns or anything, that is called as a reference genome. And whatever came, or instead of computing the entire sequence G1, so I have taken this entire sequence G1 for Y, and I saw that only this third nucleotide is changing. So now for Z, I don't really need to read the entire G1, right? I can just read the first 4 characters and see whether the third character is changing or not, right? So we don't really need the entire genome sequence, but we can just take some k-mers or reads out of this, and smaller reads or smaller k-mers from this sequence, and just try to compare whether there is some position such that this thing should fit or not. This thing fits or not, or if this particular nucleotide has changed or not. Is there a mutation for this nucleotide or not? Okay? Stuff like that, this kind of comparisons. So this is more or less is a pattern matching problem, as you can see here. Okay, So this is more like a multiple pattern matching problem. So we are having this reference genome, which we are calling as text. So this is a reference genome, and we are having a collection of sequences. Okay, there is this is for X in the previous example. This is the genome for Y. This is the read for Z. This is something else for A. Some smaller k-mer. This is for some smaller k-mer for B, and so on. Okay. So now what we want to do is I want to match the position from where this Y is starting. I don't know whether my machine has read correctly also, right? So I want to find exactly, let's say I'm indexing this, the X from 0, 1, 2, 3. Somebody wants to join or something. Livin, can you please handle it if somebody is trying to join?
Nobody's there. Nobody's there.
Okay, okay. Okay, so here the question is like, so we were having this reference genome for the person, healthy individual X. Let's say we are indexing it as 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, up to like, let's say 5,000. Okay, and then I'm reading a smaller k-mer or a read for Y, which is just of length 5. Okay, so now I want to identify the position of X where Y belongs, where Y is a substring to this particular position. This is the starting problem that we will be looking into. Okay, so what I want is I want the position where Y is there. Like suppose Y is A, C, G, T, 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 A. Okay, now I want to find exactly at what position of X Y is present. What is the position from X from, so that let's say this is some position 50. So 50 to 50 is the 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 55. Okay, 50 to 55. This is the position where Y is present. Okay, so I want to return 50. What is the index from which, if we start reading, we will be able to read Y? Okay, this we will be given multiple patterns. This is just one pattern. We will be given multiple patterns, and we want to find the location of occurrence of each of these patterns. Okay. What will be the trivial time complexity? Clearly, suppose there are like X number of patterns that is given to us. For each of these X patterns, we will, if you are going by a trivial time complexity, okay. So we will, for each of these patterns, we will have to scan the entire length of the reference in human genome. So basically, it will be, if it is X patterns and the genome length sequence is of length n, then we will be having X times n, right? So n is usually very very large, X is usually very very large. So this will X, if it is X is nearly equal to n, then we will be having an order of n squared, right? If X is very close to n, if there are very very sequences, 1 or 2, then it is fine. But if there are like very 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 large number of sequences, then it will become like order of n squared time. So what we'll do is, so what the suggestion is, we will use a tree-like data structure which will assist us in this solving this in a very lesser amount of time. Okay, so this data structure is basically a way to represent this. We will be discussing different ways to represent X such that in this order of n squared time will be reduced. Okay, instead we will be just be handling with order of X time. Or this xn time, instead of this order of xn time, we will be only be handling with order of x time. Okay, so this is the idea. We want to reduce this time complexity significantly. This was a trivial time complexity. We want to reduce this time complexity significantly. So what we are going to do is, we will be using some tree like data structures to represent this x. Okay, so what we will do is something called as tries. What this tries is, suppose you are given some pattern A, T, let's say apple. Okay, what tries do is, it takes one character as one edge. So I will be having one root node, and which will be a representative for nothing, the null values. Okay, and then I will add the character A. So I have this node will be representing the character A, the string the string containing just the character A. Then I will add the character P. So this node will now be comprising of the string from the previous node, which is A, plus the string that we character that we added, which is P. So this will be equal to, this will represent the string containing AP. Okay, then the third character is again P, so we will add another edge for P, and again it will be AP plus P. Okay, so this node will represent APP. Similarly, next we will add L, and we will have APP from the previous node, and we are going to add L, so this will be APPL. Okay, finally we will add the character E. So we had APPL earlier plus C. This will give us APPL. So this sleep will now store the string actor. Okay, so this kind of a representation where each character goes into one edge, and then this kind of a tree. Okay, this kind of a tree where each character goes into one edge, and that represents that this particular node, the tail node of the edge, will be will represent the string equal to the string represented by the head node plus the character represented by the edge. Okay, so this kind of a tree like structure is called as a suffix tree. Okay, so I'll erase this. So consider the string Panama bananas. Okay, what we will do is we will always add a special character at the end to distinguish to distinguish that the string has ended. We will be adding a special character at the end, which will be basically this dollar symbol. So if we take Panama bananas is our string, and we will add a dollar at the end. So now this was the reference human genome over here, Panama bananas. So now I just added a dollar as a special character. Okay, Panama bananas was that, and now I am adding dollar now. Okay, so this is my new reference human genome. So what I will do is, instead of storing it as single characters, I will be using or like a list of characters, like a string. Instead of storing it as a string, and every time instead of having to scan it every time, what I will do is I will enumerate every possible suffix of this particular string. Okay, so we have dollar first. What are the different suffixes? We have dollar, we have S dollar, we have AS dollar, the last three characters. Okay, then the last four characters, NAS dollars. Okay, all of these are suffixes. ANAS dollars. All of these are suffixes of this Panama bananas dollar string. Okay, so what I'll do is I will add all of this to a single try. So now I have this dollar symbol, so I will add dollar to the root, and I got the, and then there is nothing, so I just reached the leaf, which represents the dollar. Okay, then S dollar. For S dollar, I will add an edge to represent the S. Then I will have an edge to represent the dollar. It's similar to what we did for apple. Okay, so we will add an edge for S, then we add an edge for dollar, and we reach the leaf. So then I have AS dollar. So again, I begin from the root, and I have A, and then I S, and then a dollar, and I reach 11. And I reach the leaf. Okay, I'll come to what these numbers are. Then we have NAS dollar. So we have N, then A, then S, and then dollar. So one edge for N, one edge for A, one edge for S, and one edge for dollar. Okay, now we have A and AS. Notice that we will be beginning with A, but we have already added an edge for A. So we will not be having duplicate edges because this is a tree. So we will not be having any duplicate edges. Rather, we will just follow this edge on the character A, reach this particular node, and now I'll check for the character N. Is there an edge on the character N? No. So I will add this edge N. Okay, earlier we just had added these edges. Let me just mark NAS dollar. These were added. Okay. So now NAS dollar. So these were the only 4 edges which we had added earlier. So now N was not there. N was not there. So now we will add an edge N2 over this particular node. We will not begin with, we will not have any duplicate nodes or any multiple edges to represent it. We will just add one character N to this particular node. And then we have A. So I have A over here. And then there is S and then dollar. Okay. Similarly, NAS dollar. What will happen? We have N. We already have N, so we will not repeat N again. Then we have A again, so we will not repeat A again. Then we have N, but N we have not added as of now. So we will add a character for edge for the character N, and then for A, and then for S, and then for dollar. And finally, we have reached this leaf. Okay, so this is how a suffix trie looks like. So now how can we use a suffix trie to read the pattern? I want to check if ABANANAS is a suffix of this particular string. How do I check that? So what will we do? We will start from, so we will add a dollar obviously at the end because we want to check it is a suffix. So I'm going to add the dollar. So I'll take this first character A and I'll check is there an edge on A. So there is an edge on A. So I'll traverse along this particular edge. Okay. So I'll traverse along this edge and then I go to the next character which is B. So is there a edge on the character B which is a child of this node of the current node? Yes, true. So I go via B and then I go to A. Is there an edge on A which is a child of the current node? This one is the current node. Is there a edge on A which is a child of this node? So true. So I go along this path and I keep on continuing this until I reach the leaf. Because I'm reaching a leaf, it means that this is a suffix. Okay, but can you say NABAS? Is this a suffix? How can you check whether this is a suffix or not? So what do? We go to A. We see that there is an edge on A. We see that there is an edge on B. We see that there is an edge on A next. So that is true. Then there is S. So is there an edge on S which is a child of this particular node, which is no. So that is why this is no longer a suffix. Okay. But remember our original problem, we want to find the suffix, the position from where this pattern is a suffix of that string, right? So what we will do is for every suffix, we have these indices, right? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on up to 13. Okay, so we have index for each of these characters. So whenever whatever suffix we are taking to construct this tree, whatever is the position this suffix is starting from, like S dollar is starting from the position 12. S is at the position 12. So the suffix is starting at this position 12. Okay, so this value is stored in the leaves of these suffixes, of this suffix trie. Okay, so once you find the suffix, like for example, ABANANAS, if I find the suffix, I see that yes, this is a suffix. And then I read this leaf, which has the value 5. So I know that this particular suffix, this particular substring, which forms a suffix, starts at the index position 5. Okay, so this is how. Now suppose I'm asking you whether can you say ABAN is a substring or not? Is this a substring? Yeah.
Explain the indexing again.
Yes. Yes. What was
the indexing again?
Which part?
The indexing part.
Okay. So the indexing part, what we have is we have for this string, we have an index for each of these characters, right? If we put these strings as a list, P
Correct.
is 1, PA, NA, right? So all of these is having one index, right? So when I'm taking this S dollars, or AS dollars, let's say AS dollar, I want to know where AS dollar is starting, right? What is the starting index of AS dollar? So what happens is AS dollar, I look into what is the starting index for AS dollar. That was 11 here. We know that originally from the reference genome
Correct.
itself. So when I'm constructing this suffix trie, I will store this information also. So AS dollar is here. So AS dollar is starting from the position 11. So when I am constructing the edge on AS dollar, I will store this index 11 at the leaf of this path.
Okay. We have to assign the index to the dollar sign also, the ending.
Yeah. Dollar sign will also have an index.
Okay.
It is now a part of the string. Okay, unless specially mentioned that we will there is a part in the lecture where sir has mentioned that we don't require this particular edge on dollar. Okay, so unless it is mentioned, but that created a lot of confusion. So unless it is mentioned, always assume that dollar is present in the reference you mentioned. Okay, unless it is explicitly mentioned that do not consider dollar, assume that dollar is present and you will be requiring this dollar symbol. Okay, because it created a lot of confusion last term. Okay, that's why this time we decided to ask you to assume dollar is present for all the reference you mentioned. Is it clear? Did I clarify your question?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, so now when you want to check this particular string is a suffix, this string substring is a suffix and it starts from which position? This is the question that I'm asking you. So what will you do is you will just traverse, right? You go to A, go along the edge to A, then B, then I have the character A, so I traverse along A, then I have the character N, I traverse along N, then I have the character A, I traverse along A, then I have the character N, I have traverse along N, A, so I traverse along A. Then I have S character, so I traverse along S, and finally I reach dollar, and I realize this is my leaf now. So because this is my leaf node now, what can happen? What is the position? This means that this is the suffix of the original string, right? So this string, this given input string is a suffix of the reference human genome or the reference genome string, right? So now because this is a suffix of the reference genome string, I want to look into what is the next question, which is what is the index position from where this suffix is starting. So what is the index position? We have already stored that information in this leaf. So I don't really need to travel to the root, or I need to find the reference genome at all. And I can just read what is the value written in this root, which is in this leaf, which has the value 5. So that means that if you go to the index 5 of the reference human genome and start reading from there, whatever you will find in the reference human genome, that substring is actually this input substring. Is that clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now suppose I pose the question ABAN. Is this a substring of this particular string for the reference human genome? Is this a substring of the reference human genome? And if it is a substring, what is the starting position where this string is occurring? Substring is occurring, or starting positions where this substring is occurring. So what will you do? We will start from the first character, let's say A. So I'll start from this A character. We go to B. We have B next. So I go to B. Then we have A. So I go traverse to A. Then I have N. I traverse to N. And then I see that there is no other string. Okay. There is no other character. This is done. I'm not saying that this is a suffix. So we will not be adding a dollar. Dollar is only added for suffixes, which means that dollar will be added to the last of the human genome. It is the last character of the human genome. Okay, so we will not be adding a dollar here because we are not saying that this is a suffix. I am saying that this is a substring. So now I have found a smaller path which is covering this particular substring, which means that this is indeed a correct substring of the human genome. So now what is the starting position? So what I'll do is I'll just traverse along all the children, or I will just explore all the subtree over here, and I will find all the leaf nodes in this particular subtree. In this subtree, what are all the leaf nodes? Okay, so every leaf node will have an index. So those index will form the point. Those indexes will be the positions where this substring is occurring. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Suppose I give some substring like a, or substring or suffix something like a, c, a, and you can see that c, there is no edge on c. After once you traveled from a, then you can see that there is no edge on the character c. That means that this is not a valid substring. The same holds for suffixes also. That means that this is not a valid suffix also. Okay, so this is all about suffix tries. Okay, now the question is, notice that suppose I have a 5,000 letter human genome sequence, what will be the memory size required to store this suffix trie? It will be very large, the suffix trie will be very, very huge, and the memory size required to store this suffix trie will also be very, very huge. The number of edges, the number of vertices will be very large, right? So what we will do is we will notice here, notice that there are some paths which are just having like a single child. They are not having any branches. This path, right? All of these paths are just not having any children, like any branches. All of them are just having exactly one child, right? So what we will do is we will compress, like for example, this large path. Okay, so what we will do is we will just compress this entire path into one edge. Okay, so for example, for this particular this one is also there, right? So if I take this entire path and I compress it, what will happen? I will have one edge which was initially having the value p, the character p, then I had a, then I had n, a, m. Okay, I'll do for the smaller one. Okay, this b, a, n, a, n, a, s. Okay, I'm compressing this particular path. So I had b, then I had a, n, a, n, a, s dollar. Okay, so this was the sequence that we had, and then we had the leaf node, which was called the value, which had the index 6. This and this are same, right? Except that there is a bunch of nodes in between. I just removed all of that and I just put all of these characters. I just combined all of these characters into one string for this particular edge. Is this fine with you? Is this clear?
Yes.
Yeah, so if this we can do, then what we have is we can just all of these single child paths, all of these paths with exactly where every node is having just one child, I can just compress them, okay, into one edge. So this is this string, whatever the string is forming, which is bananas over here, bananas dollar over here, this is called as the label of that edge. Here also we have these characters. Earlier in the suffix tries, the labels of edges were just one single character. But now we will get a tree where the labels of these edges can either be just one character, or it can be multiple, or it can be a string with multiple characters, right? Like for example, here it is branching. So for this n1, n is n and a is a single. Here this node is just having one child, so I'll remove this node and compress this two into one edge. Okay, so what will happen is I will have n a, okay, and a node over here. Now there is multiple branching here, so I will not combine these three edges. I will leave it as it be. So I will have m, I will have an edge for n, then I will have an edge for s. Okay, but now notice that this node is having just one child, so I'll merge these two edges. So I have s dollar over here. Now this one is also in the same category, right? All of this part, right? This part is falling in the same category. So instead of having n here, I will have an edge for NAS dollar and the leaf for whatever is the index value. Similarly, for here, it is also following the same single path like structure. So we'll be having a single edge representing MA, BA, NA, S dollars, and then one particular. So this entire thing with an entire branch containing so many nodes and so many edges is now just compressed into a single branch with 4 nodes and 4 edges. Okay, so this is how we are going to reduce the size of this suffix trees. So now the resulting tree, whatever the tree-like structure that we will get, that is no longer a trie, because trie is only allowed 1 character per edge. But because we are allowing multiple characters, that is a string for every edge, it is called as suffix trees instead of suffix tries. Okay, so this is a compressed version of the suffix tries. It is also the exact same thing. Every other thing that we discussed on how to like find a suffix, how we will be having the indices at the leaf nodes, how we are computing the index of a suffix, how we are checking whether this substring is present or not. All of that part will be exactly the same for this suffix trees also. Okay, so this is a different way of representing the suffix tries. So now here the thing is, this is basically, okay, yeah, so this is a compact version of suffix tries, but now still this is having some larger sized memory is large, right? So memory requirement is large, so we will use another memory efficient way to store these suffix trees, which is called as suffix arrays. Okay, so the question is, how do we compute the suffix arrays? So how do we compute the suffix array? This is a memory efficient way to just store the suffix tree. Okay, so how do we compute the suffix array? So what we will do is we will find all the suffixes of this particular string, whatever string is given to you. We'll find every suffix of those strings. Now each of these suffixes is a string itself, right? It is a substring of this bigger string, but itself it is a string, right? So we are taking all of these strings and we will sort it in ascending order. Dollar is considered as a symbol which comes first, and then we have A, B, C, D, and all of that. Okay, so accordingly, we will assume that dollar is smaller than A, B, C, D. So for this, accordingly, we will sort all the suffixes. Now we have the starting positions for every suffix. We already knew that dollar was starting at the position 13. So the index for dollar was 13. A bananas dollar was having an index of 5, right? This is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So A bananas suffix, the suffix A bananas dollar was starting at the index 5, right? So I had the index 5 over here. Okay, so all of these values are now we know all of the values for these suffixes, right? These index positions for each of these suffixes. So now if we put all of these values in a single array or a single list in Python, we get what is called as the suffix array of of the reference human genome. Okay, so here we are having 13, 5, 3, 1, 7, 9. So this also will be 13, 5, 3, 1, 7, 9. This will be in the sorted order. Okay, so all the suffixes, indices of all the suffixes in the sorted order. Okay, but notice that the problem with suffix array is it is just encoding the suffixes but not the string itself. So if we want to find whether ANA is a, so whether ANAS dollar is a suffix or not, what we will have to do is I have to find how many A's were there in the string. I have to look into those many positions in this suffix array. First one is obviously dollar. Then those many positions of this suffix array. And I have to look into every one of those indices and try to search if this particular substring is present at that index or not. Okay, so this is basically like it little bit complicates the situation, but the thing is we are just encoding the suffixes, but we are not the string. This is not a proper encoding. Okay, so we are just encoding the suffixes. Now what the idea here is, see, suppose if we want to find these suffixes or anything, then it is better to go with the suffix tries or suffix trees. Okay, but suppose you want to send this suffix tree to one of your friend, then how will you do? You have to send this reference genome sequence to somebody else. So you don't want to send this entire suffix tree, right? You want a smaller version of that. So that is an idea on how we can share by using this suffix array. Instead of like sharing this entire tree, we can just share this list, right? And if we has the we can just add this list, but the problem is again there also, like it is only encoding the suffixes, it is not encoding the string. So without knowing the string itself, your friend cannot decode this. Okay, so what we are going to do is we are going to use something what is called as a Burrows-Wheeler transform. You have learned about these encoding methods, right? Like Huffman encoding and all of that in PDSA. So this is another form of an encoding method where we are going to encode the string itself. This suffix array was a form of encoding the suffixes. Burrows-Wheeler transform is a way to encode the string directly, the reference human genome directly. Okay, so this is how a Burrows-Wheeler transform looks like. What we will do is we have the string and we will rotate the string. So I take this dollar in clockwise direction. I take this dollar and I put this dollar at the first, and all of this string comes after this. So basically what happened? We have shifted the string or shifted the string by one character to the right. Okay, or we can also say that we have rotated the string in an anti-clockwise direction. Okay, so S is coming over here. So in an anti-clockwise direction, we have rotated the string by one character. Similarly, here also again we are rotating again this particular string. I am rotating by one character and I am getting this string, right? Then I am rotating this string again by one character. This string again I am rotating by one character, and I keep on doing that, right? Until at the last, what will happen is I will get the original. If I rotate this string, I will get, if I rotate this string in the same direction by one more character, I will get this particular string. Okay, so this is called as cyclic rotations of the original string. So once I perform these cyclic rotations, notice that each of the newer strings that I have obtained, all of these newer strings are actually itself a string, right? This is a string, this is a string, this is a string, this is a string, and so on. Okay, so each of these whatever these rotations that we have obtained, each of these is itself a string in itself, right? So what we are going to do is, for each of these cyclic rotations that we have, we will perform what we will do is we will sort these locations. Okay, so what we have sorted it over here, we sorted all of these strings in ascending order again. Okay, so we sorted the strings in ascending order. Now notice that this columns are all, this first column is also sorted. Okay, so this is what we did. So what we did, first of all, we performed cyclic rotations and computed all possible cyclic rotations. Once I did that, each of these cyclic rotations are itself a string, and taking each of these cyclic rotations as a string, I sorted them in ascending order. Right now, I take the last character of each of the strings in this sorted order. This forms the Burrows-Wheeler transform of the original string. Okay, so what I will do is, this is one example that you have seen in the lecture videos. It's there in the book also. So what I will do is, I'll take another example, which is apple. Okay, APPLE dollar. Okay, so this is, I'll use this as a reference human genome sequence, genome, and I will find the Burrows-Wheeler transformation for apple dollar also. So you can look into the process and understand the process clearly. So if there are any doubts, you can ask. Okay. So I'll rotate the apple. First of all, I'll have to rotate everything. Rotate. So I'll start with apple dollar. Then I have dollar apple. Then I have E dollar APPL. Okay. I took E to the front and I shifted everything to the right. Okay. Then I take L to the front, L, then shifted everything to the right. E dollar AP. P. Okay. Then I take P to the left, P to the first, and shifted everything. PLE dollar AP. Then I take the other P to the first again. So I have PPLE dollar A. Okay. And then I take A again to the first and I get APPLE dollar, which is basically the first one itself. So I'm going to ignore it. So now how to short this? Okay. So I take the first characters. This is basically what is called as a radix sort or alphabetical sort. You can look into that algorithm later on your offline. Okay. So what we will do is we'll look into the first characters of all of these strings, and I see that dollar is the first character, which means that dollar, as I have already told you, dollar comes first before ABCD. So dollar comes first. So that is why we will be having dollar apple as the first string. Okay. Then I see I have A, E, L, P, P. So A is smaller of all. So I will go with apple dollar. Okay. Then I see I use this. I use this. Then these are remaining. So for this set, E comes first. So E dollar apple will come next. E dollar A P P L. Then I will be having this one because L precedes P. So L E dollar A P P. Then I have P and P. So which P will come first then? So I will go to the second character. First character is same because the first characters are same. I'll go to the second character to short them. So the second character is L and P. So L is smaller than P, which means that this string is will come first, and then this string will come. So we will have PLE dollar AP, and finally I will have PPLE dollar A. Okay. So the Burrows-Wheeler transform of this will be the last characters in this sorted order. So that will be equal to, it will be the string E dollar L P P A. Okay. So this is the Burrows-Wheeler transformation. Now the question is, how do I obtain the original string from this Burrows-Wheeler transformation? So when we are encoding, we should also know how to decode, right? So that is what is called as the process of inverse Burrows-Wheeler transform. Okay, so what inverse Burrows-Wheeler transformation does is, this is a decoding process. We want to recover the original string from the Burrows-Wheeler transformation itself. Okay, so because Panama bananas was the example that has been used in the book, I have given the example for Panama bananas over here, but I am not going to solve all of this right now considering to the time limit. So what I'll do is I'll use this Burrows-Wheeler transformation for apple, and I'll show you the process on how to decode this string, this Burrows-Wheeler transformation, and obtain the original string, which was apple dollar. Okay, so the Burrows-Wheeler transformation of apple was E dollar, right? E dollar LP PA. Okay, E dollar LPPA. So what I will do is I'll try to find what was the first character. So now I know that, see, when we constructed this sorted order, okay, this means that this looks like a table, right? This looks like a table, right? So where there are 6 columns, one for each character, and 6 rows. Okay. So what I will have is I'll construct that table now. I'm not going to draw the rows and columns. What I will just do is I will just try to arrange it as dashes. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 5, 6. Now we know that E dollar LPPA comes over here, right? E dollar L, P, P, A, right? So what now? Can you tell me what should be the first column of this table? What will be the first column for this table?
It would be dollar.
Yeah, dollar will definitely come over here. Okay, now what
Then
will come
what
over?
should be
Sorry,
APPLE, APPLE.
APPLE. How did you know that?
You are asking about row wise, no?
No, I'm asking about column wise.
Oh, sorry.
I don't know what the sequence is. We know that it is APPLE, but you are just imagine you are just given this Burrows-Wheeler transformation. You don't know what the original sequence is. How do you find the original sequence? That is what we want to know. Okay, see what happens is uh, the last column is the Burrows-Wheeler transformation of this matrix. That is for sure, right? So the last column, I will just arrange the Burrows-Wheeler transform up and down. E dollar L P P A, right? This is clear, right? The last column.
Yes.
Yeah. So the first column was what I had originally, what I had did here. I had actually sorted all of these rotated strings, right? I had sorted all of these rotated strings, right? So the first column must be the sorted the characters in the sorted order. Do you agree with me?
Yes.
So my original string consists of these characters in some order. And I know that whatever the order was, the characters were sorted in the first column. So I will just take this Burrows-Wheeler transform, sort this string. I consider each of these values as one character, and I'll sort it. So I get dollar A E L P P, right? So that will form my first row, first column. Sorry, that will be the first column. Clear? Is this clear?
Yes.
So now what I will do is, see, there are two pieces. I don't want to get confused. So what I will do is I will just number these two pieces, or I will just use some different colors for these two pieces. Okay. So I'll use
Let's
a
use P
green
and P
color.
dash.
Sorry.
Let's use P and P dash to represent both of them.
Okay, sure. Just I'll erase the screen. So what I'll do is I'll use P and P dash. Let's use P dash and P double dash. Okay. So this dash represents for the first P, first occurrence of P. This P represents the second occurrence of P. Here also in the last column, what I will do is I will use P dash and then P double dash. Okay. So this is what I will do. So the first occurrence of P is P dash. The second occurrence of P is P double dash. Okay. So now what I'll do is I'll start from dollar. Okay. See, whatever I had, whatever I had was my string. The last value was dollar, right? So whatever was the first value over here, the first character of the string will be the first character in this row. Do you agree to that?
Okay.
Yeah. So the first character of this thing. So I have dollar over here. So now after dollar, what will come? So the first character will be A, right? Because this will definitely be the string, right? Because it is ending with dollar. We are having exactly $1. Let's assume we are having exactly $1. I am assuring you that we will be having exactly $1. So if we are having exactly $1, that means that this dollar is going to the last of the string. And hence the first of the string will definitely, the first character of the string will definitely be A, right?
Yes.
Okay. So I'll do something else also. when I'm having dollar here, when I rotated this dollar, I brought this dollar to, when I rotated this string, I brought this dollar over here to the first of the string, right? Which means whatever was coming at the end in that particular string will be the character which precedes dollar. Do you agree to that? What had I done? Yeah, when we rotated, what happened? Dollar came over here, then A came, and then whatever was remaining over here came over here. So whatever was the last character here will be this character, right? Do you agree?
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
So whatever was the last character here, that will be over here. So the character which precedes dollar will be E, right? In this particular, in the original sequence, the character which precedes dollar will be E, right? So now I will go to E. When I when I had pulled E to the first, when I had rotated this so many times that I had taken E to the first, E dollar A was there. So whatever was the remaining sequence, we came over here. So whatever was the character preceding A will be the last character of this particular row, right? So I go to this row, I see that the last character in this row is L, which means that when E is my first character, L was my last character, which means that when I had rotated and I had brought E to the first, L was my last character, L was the character preceding E. You get it? How we are getting it? So we start with dollar. Okay, we start with dollar. And I see that the last character in the row where dollar is present, the last character of that row is E, right? So that means that E will be the character which will precede dollar. Now I go to E and I see what is the last character of the row where E was present, which is L, which means that L will be the character which will precede E. Okay, then I'll go to which row? The row where L was the first character. This row. Yeah. This row. Okay. So in this particular row, I had L here and I go to the last character of this, which was P dash. Okay. So P, basically P. So P was the first character, last character of this row, which means that P was the character which was preceding L. Now notice that I have specifically marked this 1 and 1 dash and 2 dashes to distinguish here so that I will know which P to go to. Now I want to go to one particular P, right? I reached a P. So I have to know which P I should go to. So that is why I had originally marked this as 1 dash and 2 dash, and there are also 1 dash and 2 dash. Because this was the 1 dash, I will go to the P with the 1 dash. Okay, so the P with the 1 dash in the row where P 1 dash was the starting character, there was a P at the last character, which means that there will be a P preceding to this P also. So this particular P, which was representing P1 dash, will be preceded by another P, which was represented by P double dash in this matrix we had constructed. Okay, so now I am having P double dash. So I will go to which row now? Which row will I be going to? The last P double dash. Okay. So P double dash. What was the last character of P double dash? It was A. Okay. So I reached A. So P double dash last character was A. So the character representing this P double dash in the string will be preceded by A. Okay. Then I go to A again and I see that the last character of the row where A had started was ending with dollar. So when I have reached dollar, I mean that I have ran a full circle and now I am ending here. So I'll stop it over here. Okay. So now once I have stopped, whatever is the string was the original genome sequence. Is this clear? Any doubts on this? This is actually
no, I
kind of,
don't get it on this.
yeah.
It's
Okay,
little confusing.
Sorry?
It's little confusing, you know.
Yeah, it initially it looks confusing, but once you start solving couple of strings, no, like take a string, find its Burrows-Wheeler transformation, and then erase that particular string and try to compute the original string using this Burrows-Wheeler transformation. Once you try doing this for a couple of strings, you will realize that it is actually very easy and very fun to solve. Okay, so try using couple of strings. Take any strings, take original, take string, take anything, take decoding, whatever, take any word, and just compute its Burrows-Wheeler transformation. Try to construct this original word from its Burrows-Wheeler transformation. Okay, so try practicing on bunch of strings, and if you are not able to do, then please let me know. I'll let you know if you are doing any errors or if there is any issue if you are not able to compute the original string. But I would suggest you to practice on bunch of strings to construct the to decode the Burrows-Wheeler transformation, to construct the Burrows-Wheeler transformation, and to decode the Burrows-Wheeler transformation. Okay, initially it will be hard. It will be hard initially. It will be confusing initially. It will not be hard. It will be confusing initially, but then once you get hold of what is happening, you will be able to realize. You will realize that it is really fun to solve. Okay. Try larger strings with repetitions also. Okay. During the last term and end term examination, there were a bunch of strings that was given to compute this inverse Burrows-Wheeler transformation. You can use those strings and refer them also. Okay. During the last term end term examination, there were questions on BWT and inverse BWT. Okay. So this was the content for week 6. This was the content for week 6. Week 7, Livin will continue. Over to you, Livin. I'll stop sharing. Livin, you there?
Yeah, just.
Oh, one thing I want to clarify. During the discussions for the quiz 1 and question paper and everything, there was a comment that we are not sharing the slides prepared by the professor or these slides which I am discussing during the discussion, this live sessions, right? So the thing is, we can't share with you the slides that sir is showing on the lecture videos. That is confidential slides. But the slides that I am using to discuss this for this live session, we didn't realize if you need it. But if you need it, then let us know. We'll share these slides with you. Okay, I don't have any issue with sharing the slides.
Yeah,
These slides are sorry.
Please share the annotated ones.
I don't have the annotations. I just have the slides.
Oh.
Okay. So
okay, share that will work.
Yeah. So maybe if you need the original slides, then let us know. We'll share it with you. Okay. Over to you, Livin.
Yeah. My screen is visible. Okay. So I just wanted to explain how this k-means algorithm works and the soft k-means works in a programmatical manner. Since many computations are involved in this, instead of doing it by hand, I thought it would be better if we perform it using this NumPy library, so that you could get an understanding of how these things work. My font size is okay. Right? Font size is fine, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm just generating some random clusters for our experiment. So this is basically I'm creating 2 blocks. So this is from one normal distribution, and this is from another normal distribution with these parameters. So this is the actual classification or the hidden things that we have generated. We don't know it. So what we try to do is do the k-means first. So according to the k-means, we start with some initial random points. So basically, k-means is also an estimation maximization thing in a very simple form. Right? We assume so if you see the lectures, what we are essentially saying is at the last, k-means is just a GMM where the variance is what across all the dimensions is what the basic simple assumptions that we make to K-means is in some sense a special case of GA. Okay, so with that idea, we do the hard K-means. So what we assume is that initially we just like randomly initialize our cluster centers. So first we do the E step, in which we find the responsibilities. So in hard K-means responsibility would be either 0 or 1. So what we need to compute. So I'll just go through these steps one by one so that you get an idea of what each step is computing, and then we'll read through the code. Okay. So let's just so what we have to do actually first initially we have to find the distances, right? There are multiple ways in which you can find the distances. So this is the basic linear algebraic way to do this. We have already also have many inbuilt functions to do this also. Okay. So first of all, how we in distances, what we need to do, the Euclidean distance, we are finding the Euclidean distance. Finding the Euclidean distance is basically the L2 norm of the difference, right? Euclidean distance is the L2 norm of x minus c, right? With that, how do we find it? So basically what I'm computing here inside this is the L, the difference. So why this reshaping is happening? So let's see the shapes of this thing. What is the shape of this? The 500 data points with 2 features. That's what this is. And what's the shape of the sectors? It's basically 2 plus 2. So 2 sectors with 2 and 2. 2 features. 2 sectors with 2 features. So each corresponds to 1 sector, 2 features of 1 sector. So now we want to find the difference between all possible combinations of this, right? So to do that, how we cannot do simply x minus a because the shapes are not valid. So to do that, we can do some sort of broadcasting rule, shape reshape it so that when we minus, it does something called as vectorization along particular axis, and it will give us the. So when I do reshape, so I can use 500, 1,2. This is what we are doing. So this what just this reshape is. So you can actually skip one of these dimensions by putting it -1, so that Humphrey will calculate that missing dimension. So with this, we can get all possible differences. For example, for a particular data point, so there are each of these the inner axis. So there are 3 axes, right? What does this refer to? This refers to the difference between the first cluster, and this is the difference between the second cluster set. That's what that means. So with that differences, we can find the linear norm, basically. So in which axis we need to find the linear norm based on the last axis. So this is the difference, right? So the last axis we have to find the linear norm. So which we can compute by NP dot linear dot now. By default, it will use the NP norm. So we'll get the use the axis parameter. This one to get the distances. So these are the distances between each point. So this is the first one corresponds to the cluster 1, sorry, cluster 0 and cluster 1, right? And how do we find the responsibilities? So the responsibilities in a hard K-means is basically the nearest cluster will have the responsibility of 1 and 2. So you can find max, sorry, hard max to get the index of the particular maximum value, which is either 1 or 0. So we do just R max with along with the axis, the last axis, which is -1. So -1 comes to the last axis with terms of axis. So you will get basically this response, like these are not responsibility, predicted value. To compute, if you need a responsibility matrix, but responsibility matrix should be for all possible cases. So to construct that, I am using a small simple trick like this. This is my predicted values. So with this response will be the responsibilities. So what I'm basically doing is I'm creating an empty 0 with 2 cross 3. Basically one hot encoding. So the result is the one hot encoding of the sample. This is what we want, right? So we have this response. So how do we compute the update the mean? So this is the E step in some sense. Finding the responsibilities is the E step in an expectation maximization algorithm. Which in this case, hard K means very simple and very specific case of that. And with these responsibilities, we have to update the key. So what is the update rule for that? So to find that, we have to find the formula goes like this, right? We have the rest. So it's sum. What I have to do is I have to multiply this responsibility with the corresponding data point, and then take a mean of each of these things. Right. For example, I have to multiply this ki with the all the data points. Then the total divided by the sum of these responsibilities. So the formula goes like summation responsibility ik times xi, and then the bottom is just sum ri. So yeah, it goes like this. K is the cluster, this case 2. So we have this. So this is how the response, the recenter calculation. So this is the K calculation, right? So to do that, we have to find the product and sum it and divide by the sum of the responsibilities for each case. So to compute this formula, what I am doing is, since we are using NumPy, do all sorts of things by reshaping things. So this formula might not be very easy to get the results. This is so let's see what this will give us. So this will give us the denominator sum, sorry, the numerator sum. So the numerator sum by doing this. So these are the numerator points, and this is for the first one, and this is for the second one, second point. Then we are okay. This is the resolution. Actually, I think this is necessary. This is good. And how do you find the sum of these responsibilities? Is this will be this. The sum of these responsibilities. This is this part. This one gives us this part for the first K and second K. So the reshaping is happening because we have to divide in the other axis. That's it. that, they're actually computing the new centers. So as you can see how the outputs. So these are two random points that we have to look. So in our k-means, you see how that is being updated. So initially the distance it divides like this, then you will compute the centers, and then this keeps on going and the centers towards the actual centers. I'm just running this for 5 records or 5 iterations, and you could quite see the actual centers coming in place around 1 cross 1 and 10 cross 10 is what we have actually created it. So it's around the right place. This is the decision boundary in some sense. So it's quite well. We need to do soft k-means. So instead of like putting it down with 0 or 1, so that is this. So computing this, we compute the responsibilities by using the softmax function. So the e power x minus beta x in some sense. So we are assuming beta to be 1, and this is the minus that comes in place. We're computing softmax to find the responsibilities. So if I compute this, instead of getting zeros and ones like this one, I will get, instead of getting this one, zeros and ones, I'll get probabilities. That probability of belonging to the cluster. So basically, you're going to basically find this. Basically, these are the probabilities. This is 9.9 and this is 0.496 or 96. So these probabilities are actually the fitted probabilities. Let's take the initial probabilities. Let's initialize this. These are the clusters. This. Now this is this part, like the values are maybe close, but the idea is these are probabilities. So with that probabilities, what we can do is we replace the responsibilities with the probabilities instead of the hard values. This is how the algorithm proceeds. No changes on the other parts. For the plot, I have used a this opacity based thing. Because you can see as the distance it moves away from the thing, so opacity decreases, which means the probability of that point belonging to that cluster decreases at opposed to the. So as you can see, the farthest points has less chance of being in that particular cluster. So that's what we are trying to learn in the soft cases. So other modeling changes that you can do is the assumption of basically what we are doing is the EM algorithm in some sense. So what you can change more. So this is the basic vanilla soft k-means, right? This step that we are completing is from the vanilla soft k-means. So instead of doing that, we could also compute the responsibilities with the GMM actual formulation, probabilistic formulation of the GMM, not varied assumptions of the standard deviation or the mean different axes, like the multivariate case. So this is in some sense a univariate case with the thing. Let's try changing the value of beta to 0.3 or something. Let's see how that affects the cluster. You can see the softness has increased in some sense. See the difference. So if we like decrease beta on 1, softness will further increase. See how the clusters are going actually together. This with that stiffness, you see the cluster centers are shifting towards each other. But with the hardness, it's make it hard. You can see how far this is going. So that's how the soft K means the stiffness parameter affects the decision boundary and stuff. You can see that points actually begin so far. So you can experiment on the by changing the value of beta, how beta affects the clusters and stuff. Right? With decreasing beta, the cluster centers, like this also has some probability of being into that cluster. That's what it's trying to say. The softness. So if you make beta harder, you will see the cluster centers far apart. That's what we did here, and this is what we switch upon the assumptions. If you model based on the assumption of Gaussian mixture model, you can say by increasing beta, you assume the clusters means to be more like the variance of the clusters kind of getting increased, right? Because in the Gaussian formulation, the variance term under the 1 by thing, which we actually assume as beta. If the beta decreases, we assume that the variance increases, and the cause of variance tend to bring the means close together. If we assume that variance is less, that assumptions brings the clusters far apart, and that's what the higher beta signifies. 8 hours. Are you speaking? That's the basic idea of the in here. It's all about the different modeling techniques. So how you write this particular equation, finding the responsibilities. Because our update step might have some, if you have variance, you might have to come to the new variance also as a parameter. So here we are just setting the centers of the means as the parameter. So this is the expectation step with some sense, and this is the expectation step. So once you are able to model that thing with the correct equation, the EM algorithm is just a repetition of these two steps. That's how we learn the patterns. So upon each modeling, we will be getting these equations for the step and game step, and we will want repeating this. Okay. You can experiment on the different parameters or different assumptions that you make about the distribution that gives you sense. Those that's it from the side. Just so anything in the same.
Yeah. So, do you have any doubts or something?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
If possible, can you please provide some pairs for this BWT?
BWT.
Yeah, the
Just
original,
take any.
the including and the original ones.
Yeah, you Okay, you can find a couple of questions from the last term end term question paper. There were 2 questions for that. Try with Panama bananas. These are 3 bigger questions. And then Panama bananas is a book example. Okay. Apart from that, try solving take your own words and try to solve it and then send me and I'll check whether it's correct or not. I'll let you know if the answer is correct or not.
Okay.
Try computing on your own first. If you are able to do that, or if you're not able to do that, whatever it is, just send me. I'll check and I'll let you know if it is correct or if it's wrong.
Okay.
All right then. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you. I'll stop the streaming and end the call. Okay.
Yeah, sure.